with technology. Give him applause. Okay. My name is Hari. I will be your moderator for this session. Okay, before we begin, let me brief share this session, how this session we run. We will go directly to main talk by Mr. Alexei Lukatsky about maybe 75 minutes. After that, we will have dedicated Q&A session, okay, until around 3 p.m. But one important note is this session is meant to be more attractive because so if during talk you have some question in Zoom or offline, please feel free to raise your hand. And if the timing is suitable, okay, we can take one or two questions in the middle. So you don't forget if you are just make it in the end of the lecture, maybe you forget something. Okay, now, Mr. Rukatsi, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. Yeah. Okay. Yes, my name is Alexei Lukatsky, and I've been working for cybersecurity 35 years. Today I stay in front of you with maybe not very easy task for me, because usually I speak about AI in cybersecurity topic for 6 or maybe 8 hours. And I remade my presentation, especially for 1.5, maybe for 2 hours. But anyway, I will share my presentation with you after my lecture. And if you need, you can ask me by online about anything. Now I work for Positive Technologies. It's the biggest Russian cybersecurity company. One of big topic for our company for this time and for future is AI. AI from different sides, and especially today, we will focus on 3 sides of AI. AI as a victim, because many companies and many governments and so on use AI for increasing our productivity, our lifestyle, and so on. Second part of my presentation will be about AI as a cyber criminal tool, because hackers, I mean black hackers, bad guys, some threat actors, and so on, they're using AI for their productivity, for automation of their activities. And of course, we'll speak about AI from cybersecurity perspective, how to use AI for development of cybersecurity products and cybersecurity services. First of all, we need to start with idea about modern AI projects. And I think you know that any AI project contain maximum 12 big parts of these projects. First part depends on data sets. And it means that we need to speak about data ops, because without security of data, we cannot build trusted AI projects and trusted AI systems. Second part of any AI projects is model. And we need to collect some models from trusted sources. We need to train these models. We need to choose the right model for our task, because we cannot use only one model for any task, not only in cybersecurity, but in any other topics. Unfortunately, we don't have any silver bullet in models of AI for cybersecurity. And third part is more easy for many of you. It's about security. And we will speak about SecOps, security operations, because without this part, we cannot effectively secure whole AI project, and we cannot be trusted to results which generated by any AI project. And first of all, we need to start our discussion from threat model. Threat model is a cornerstone and starting point for any cybersecurity processes, not only for AI, but for some other security and cybersecurity projects, for IoT, for DevSecOps, for office systems, and for websites, and so on. And from this perspective, we understand that exist very many amount of different threats for different kind of AI project. For LLMs, we have some threats with prompt injections, with adversarial prompts, and so on. For reinforcement learning project, we have other threats. For neural nets or for deep learning, we have some different threats. And of course, without good diving into cybersecurity landscape, cyber threat landscape, we cannot effectively secure our AI projects. And from this perspective, we need to understand where we can find some information about threats, where we can get set of threats which we will use in our projects, or that we should defend against the threats. And first of all, is a Databricks AI security framework that contain some tens of threats, especially for any AI project, for any of 12 parts of AI projects. And this framework, Databricks framework, can be divided and separated to different parts for different kind of projects. For example, if you use Qwen, DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Claude, or some other GPT services from public or for local using. For example, I use LM Studio on my notebook, especially for processing of some sensitive information which I cannot send to public GPT services. And without this difference, we have the top 10 of threats for any LLM services or products. First of all, it's prompt injections, data leakage, inadequate sandboxing, and so on. This kind of top 10 threats described in special documents which were developed by OWSP consortium. This organization is responsible for cybersecurity in web, in applications, and from last year for some AI projects, and they have some threat models for LLMs, for multi-agent AI systems, and for some other kind of AI projects. This document is updated regularly, and now we have fourth version of threat model, especially for LLM. And I think you have to understand what threats exist, especially for usual LLM using, because I think, and I was a student, and I have a son who is a student who use, of course, LLM for educational processes and for some other processes in his, and I think in your personal life. Of course, these top 10 threats divided to different parts of any LLM projects, to user side, to cloud side, to rack side, to communication side, and so on. And for different part of any projects, hackers can use different threats, and we should understand it, and we should defend against these threats for public or maybe for private GPTs, because as I mentioned earlier, we can use GPT in some software as a service model services, or we can implement some GPT services in our, for example, university network infrastructure, or maybe in corporate infrastructure, or government infrastructure. It doesn't matter. And of course, we can use some autonomous GPT services, which you deploy on your personal notebook, personal laptop, for sensitive using for some, maybe some specific project. And how you can see on this slide, many of these threads implemented on site of provider, some public services, public GPT services, not on user side. And it means that you need to use some compensate security measures against these threats, because you cannot effectively fight with threats on site of your provider, which implement and which use some GPT services. If your projects use some AI agents for different tasks, for example, from cybersecurity perspective, for OSINT processes, for enrichment processes, for intelligence, for offense or defense tasks, of course, you should understand about threats, especially for AI agent architecture and infrastructure. And as you can see, there exist some other threats which weren't in top 10 threats for LLM. And it means that you should choose right threats, right actual threats, especially for your projects, and you don't need secure against everything that exists from threat landscape for AI projects. This slide is about another threat model for AI agents. And now many companies and some other organizations, private or public organizations, developed own threat model for AI agents. And as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, we don't have the silver bullet in cybersecurity, in the model, and in the threat model too. This slide, on this slide, you can see a threat model for AI agents from Microsoft. They have own view for this topic, and they separate all of cyber threats for AI to 4 quadrants: safety and security, novel, and existing. And of course, first of all, you need to concentrate to focus on a right upper quadrant about cybersecurity novel threats, which didn't exist earlier for usual information systems. Next one is threat model from OWASP consortium, but for multi-agentic system, because multi-agentic system is a new hype in AI sphere, and we see some new examples of systems, of projects, of services that based on multi-agentic, multi-agents infrastructure. Okay. Another one example of multi-agent systems, and last example for this topic, Chinese threat model, especially for AI agents. And many countries have own threat models which focused on specific topics, especially for country or for some governmental project for them. These mythical threats or not? Of course not, and I think you understand that it's not a myth and it's our reality. And you can see some very interesting examples of repositories that contain information about real incidents real attacks and real vulnerabilities for existed AI projects. These databases contain information about attacks against computer vision, about car with autopilots, against some healthcare systems, some medical systems, against some IoT systems, oil refinery factories that use AI for their processes, and so on. And currently, these repositories contain some thousands real examples of modern threats for AI. And it means that it's not fear-mongering, it's a real problem, and we need to understand how bad actors can use these threats against our projects and how we can secure and can secure our projects. Of course, some hackers want to get more information about AI projects from different companies, and they hunt for companies who invented some AI ideas, some researchers, and so on. They stole some information from this company. They hacked these companies, and you can see one offering from Darknet about selling access to one US AI company from cybersecurity area who was hacked, and famous in Darknet threat actor sells information about access vectors, about some other information about credentials that can use for penetrating and for stealing information from this company. Another example from China, but maybe not from China, from all world, where one Chinese APT group, SugarHost, use very specific techniques and tactics, especially for stealing information about AI researchers, about AI studies, about AI projects, which made by some company in the world. And this Chinese hackers group that's active to the present, this group very active, especially in AI sphere, and we know we have very interesting into our company threat intelligence department, and we know about many cases when this Chinese group hacked to different organizations, governmental organizations or private companies in different parts of our world, and stole information about AI, stole models, stole some data sets, and so on, and some other documentation about AI project and AI researches which made by some company. And as you can see on this slide, kill chain procedure of attackers for AI attacks doesn't different with attacks for usual incidents or usual hacks. Many of them started from spear phishing. After that, target got malicious archive with some file links, and after that, malware initiated on the host, on the laptop, on the personal computer, and after that, distributed around infrastructure in universities, in company, in governmental organization, and after that, hackers got information that they were hunted. How bad guys use AI for cyber attacks and cyber fraud? It's the next step of my presentation about real using of AI on the dark side of cybersecurity by hackers. Of course, main idea of AI using on dark side is automation. the same story in our legal life. We use AI, especially for automating some of our tasks and for expediting and more quick getting results from our task and our projects. And hackers do the same. Of course, I will not speak about masquerading some traditional malware under AI software, a new version of DeepSeek software, a new version of ChatGPT, and so on. We will not speak about this traditional part of story. We will speak about only specific AI using for cyber criminals and for some cyber incidents. First of all, I need to demonstrate the slides which contain real examples of using AI by dark side, by some hackers, APT groups. And we see starting from searching for vulnerabilities and writing some malware to gathering large volumes of data for criminal activity and automating and scaling some hackers campaigns. And I can see some real examples for this slide. And before some demonstrating, I need to say that only for 1 year we moved, maybe not we, but hackers moved from first level of automation when they use AI as an assistant for cyber criminal newbies, for trainings, and for some other very basic tasks, to fifth level when they can automate fully hold all tasks in hackers campaign, from async processes to enrichment, to hack, to reinforcement learning based on previous steps of hacks, and to realizing some and the implementation some final step of any attacks, destructive, for example, deleting of information, files, or virtual machines, or leakage of confidential data, which were interested for hackers. And some examples. First of all, it's malicious consulting. Unfortunately, you see some Russian words because I got some examples from Russian side of dark net. But anyway, this slide demonstrates how some hackers use integrated into dark net forums AI as a co-pilot, as a co-assistant, which can train hackers newbies for some hack tactics, for some hackers tools, and so on. This slide demonstrates how hackers use AI for phishing, especially for phishing, because work with content, with text, is a major part of, for example, GPT using and some GPT services. And of course, hackers use legal and in some cases illegal GPT services, especially for phishing, because with GPT we can generate some text, especially for different genders, for different ages, for different cultures, for different religions, and so on, without any problems. And not many people can do the same with the same speed, with the same quality, and with the same result of phishing attacks. Of course, phishing can be organized on different and in different languages, not only in English, but in Indonesian, Chinese, Indian, Hindi, Russian, and so on, without any problems. And it's another part of dark side of GPT, which can be used especially for multinational phishing campaigns, not only on single languages campaign. Of course, GPT can generate phishing with QR codes that avoid some sandboxes and email security gateways which were used on the corporate or university edge for cybersecurity reasons. Also, AI can be used especially for malware creation, malware writing. And now we can see many different examples when hackers, without good knowledge of programming, without understanding how programming works, how to use different languages and so on, they can use AI especially for production of modern malware. In some cases, they write parts of malware. In some cases, they create some scripts for bypassing cybersecurity measures. In some cases, they can create whole malware code without any human interactions, without any using of human work. For example, you can see some proofs of using AI in DDoS script or in InfoStealer written by one LLM. In this case, it was ChatGPT. Also, you can see example of using LLMs for writing a keylogger in different sites with usual GPT services which work through Telegram channel or with GPT that works through one darknet forum. Also, last months, I would say 2 or 3 months ago, we had to start to see some new campaigns which use LLMs, especially local LLMs for virus working. For example, usually modern malware created by people, by human, work on some laptops, some computers or servers, and communicate with some C2 command and control infrastructure with the C2 servers for getting some new commands and for sending some information from infected machines. But in these cases, with lame hook and prompt lock malware, we see another story when malware without some destructive functions uses local or public GPT services for getting instruction how to do something negative, something dangerous for this computer, for these operation systems, for this bunch of software, and so on, without knowledge of how to do it. We ask LLM, LLM responds to our prompt and generates some commands which used by malware implemented on infected host. And final story with LOL Mill. It's a new idea which was presented 1 week ago about using not public but local LLMs. Yes, I understand that not many modern laptops can use and can run modern LLMs. Because, for example, I have LM Studio with small models because I have only 16 gigabytes of RAM. And of course, it's not enough for a good working modern LLM that needs 32 or maybe 96 gigabytes of RAM. And when we will have more specific models, or we will have more more modern laptops with more RAM on it, we will face with new kind of local malware, which based on using local LLMs without interactions with internet, with public GPTs, and with some other services which we can detect and protect against them. It means a new wave of malware creation, and I think we will face with this wave next year in 2026. It's a very interesting trend in dark side of cybersecurity. Okay, what next? Bypassing CAPTCHA. And yes, it's true. I think many of you angry when you faced with modern CAPTCHA on different sites. And me too, of course. And now we see some different services and projects that demonstrate how AI can avoid some CAPTCHA services without any problems for a small amount seconds, for 2-3 seconds with API communications with some GPT services, modern malware, modern software for hacking can avoid some CAPTCHA, reCAPTCHA, CAPTCHA 2, CAPTCHA 3 services without any issues, without any problems. And of course, we can automate this process. For example, I try to do it with Claude, and the same with we can do with some other services, with local LLMs, with public LLMs, without any problems. Of course, if you use some specific, maybe hackers GPT, and later I will demonstrate some hackers GPT, you can avoid very different filters and barriers which implemented by guardrails of LLMs. For example, in one interesting research, researchers tell to ChatGPT to avoid any filters, and ChatGPT, because it cannot, it couldn't avoid some security measures and some CAPTCHA services. ChatGPT asked some people on freelance exchange for freelancers to avoid these CAPTCHA services for £10. And of course, people want to get money for this very easy task. And it demonstrates that ChatGPT thinks, if I can use this term, especially for artificial intelligence. But anyway, this example demonstrates that ChatGPT and any other AI services has very interesting thinking process, and they can avoid some security measures and security controls which made by people. And it means that we need to use AI, especially for cybersecurity architecture building and modeling too. Because in future, maybe next year, maybe in 2 or 3 years, we will face with fighting between AIs, dark AI and white or legal AIs, without using AI on white side of cybersecurity, on legal side on cybersecurity. Unfortunately, we will lose this battle. Next one is one example of GPT services, especially for hackers, Pentest GPT. Of course, it's not only services, especially for them. And we have, and not we have, but we see on the dark net some other examples of AI services for hackers, which work on subscription model for small amount of money. And many of these services can be used for phishing campaigns and creating some phishing messages, for malware creation, for OSINT services, for enrichment of some information from different sources. and for jailbreak prompting and generating adversarial prompts for legal GPT services for avoiding some limits and some filters which realized and implemented by guardrails in these services. For example, this slides, this screenshot from one dark side forums about how hackers exchange their jailbreak prompts for avoiding some security filters and other limitations that were implemented in public GPT services. And usually next day after implementing or announcing new model, new GPT services, and so on, hackers started share their jailbreak prompts, their adversarial prompts, and some hints, tips, and tricks for avoiding some filters and some other security measures which were implemented in new models. It's a usual fight between hackers and security developers of modern GPT services. Another example, art prompt attack, especially for avoiding some filters in public or legal GPT services. As you know, if you ask any GPT services, tell me how to build a bomb or anything else, how to create a drug, and so on and so on. These services couldn't answer on your prompt, but you can avoid their filters. And especially for this topic was created a new attacker prompt, which organized in two steps. First step, use special mask in ASCII code or in picture or with other language or with fragments code on some programming language and so on. And many GPT services use their filters only on first phase on checking any prompts. On second phase, on second step, they didn't use and they don't use any filters. And this attack demonstrates how the hackers can avoid some filters and some barriers of guardrails in GPTs. But anyway, till mid of this year, I would say that many hackers usually use only legal GPTs for their illegal activities. Yes, they can use different prompt injections. Yes, of course, they use jailbreak prompts and some other kind of adversarial prompts. But now they create own GPT models because some of developers of legal GPTs, of course, create very interesting and in some cases effective security measures for fighting against prompt engineering, hazard prompt engineering, and dangerous prompt engineering from hackers' perspective. And from this side, of course, hackers should avoid these security measures. And of course, they can do it. And now I can predict that in next year, we will face with two directions of development hacker story for modern GPTs, for modern LLM services. First of all, continue of using some jailbreak prompts and so on for avoiding limitations and filters in GPTs, in Qwen, DeepSeek, Claude, and so on. And second direction is using own GPT services without any limitations, without any problems with cybersecurity perspective, with doing anything dangerous for people, for some systems, for some projects, and so on. And it means that hackers will create their own GPT services. And after that, they, of course, will use it for very interesting tasks which cannot be done with legal GPT services. For example, for malware creating, for vulnerability searching, for orchestrating of some hackers campaign, and so on. Also, modern services, model GPT services can be used for exploit generation. And so you can see very interesting tool, Pro Defense, which demonstrates how to create exploits for some vulnerabilities without knowledge of programming, and having only text description of this vulnerability. As you know, CV database is database which contain information about some hundreds of thousands vulnerabilities which were discovered for last 10 years. And this database contained only text description of vulnerabilities without fragments of codes, without POCs, without anything what can be help to hackers to create exploit and to use this information in some incidents. But now, as was demonstrated 1 month ago, this tool can generate exploit, specific code, working exploit, only using text description. And it means that hackers can more effectively hack into the systems without getting some exploits on hackers forum, in darknet, and so on, and having only text description from some vendors, from regulation bodies, from CV or some other database, because not only CV exists in the world, but China has own vulnerability database, Russia has own vulnerability database, Europe has own vulnerability database, and so on. Next topic from hackers' perspective of using AI is deepfakes. And this site, it exists. This site demonstrates how to create some avatars for social medias, for some messengers, and for some other services for fake people. It was a very ancient, I would say ancient site, very old site, which existed maybe 5 or more years. And it was first example how to AI can be used, especially for deep fakes. After that, this story was continued. And now AI is using in many very funny but very dangerous stories, of course. For example, one French woman sent about €1 million to a fraudster, which masquerading as a Brad Pitt. Without any thoughts that it's not real guy and that it's fraudster. Another example about fire in Los Angeles this spring. And I think many of you saw this kind of pictures about fire against Hollywood title and so on. And only small amount of people saw and see now that this picture has two D letters, because in the real picture only one Hollywood in title. And it means that it's a good example of hallucination of AI, but anyway, not many people see difference between deepfakes and real photos. And it's matter, it's very important for understanding how AI can be used for deepfakes and for fraud and for avoiding some our mental problems. I would say mental problems because our brain didn't see difference and usually hide some small errors and mistake on photos and text and so on. And many fraudsters and many bad actors use this option or this feature of our brain for avoiding our internal not cyber, but brain security system. Next one example is using AI for generating of fake documents, not only static as a passport for some KYC, know your customer procedures, but for dynamic procedures in some cryptocurrencies services, in car sharing, kick sharing services, and so on. And it's very effective tool for using in hands of bad guys who want to avoid some identification of them and hiding them against some officials, some police services, and so on. Also, in internet exist special projects for generating master fingerprints, which can create real master fingerprints, which avoid many biometric identification systems. The same system exists for voice cloning and for some other ideas. And I think, you know, as a technology student, that pornography is a driver for many technologies which we use in our real life. For example, now I'm streaming through Zoom, and firstly, streaming was created by pornography authors. The same story with online payment, the same story with speed internet, with some other very interesting inventions were made in internet, and it was made with help of pornography. And of course, it's another side of cybersecurity, because with a very easy process, when we use some people from adult sites and your face, some hackers can create very dangerous for any of us videos or photos or anything and use it against us in some criminal schemes and so on. And unfortunately, it's our future, because it's very easily to create. And I can demonstrate a small example which I made on my laptop for 5 minutes. It's a Mr. Putin, and it's Mr. Trump. Yeah, I use only my photo without videos, only static photo. But anyway, it's very interesting examples of deepfake which generated by modern AI tools that I can run on usual laptop without any specific requirements for it. Also, we see in darknet some offering of avoiding some biometric identification systems in some countries for some services, governmental services, private services, commercial services, and so on. And I think in 2026, we will see more examples of offers from dark side, and of course, more incidents for deepfakes and using deepfakes in real life. For example, another tool, it's open source project Deep Life Cam, which can using especially for deepfakes. It's not Elon Musk, as you understand. But if this person will use his hands in front of his face, this tool cannot be used for effective deepfake, because in many cases, when you ask your opponents on other side of video channel to shake his hands against his face, it demonstrates that people can use deepfake and some other tools. But now we faced with some new tools which can use especially for generating very effective deepfake, which avoids this problem that existed in previous version of deepfake generators. For example, this example, when one European startup, Vidok Security, faced with North Korean hacker, he's on the right side, that use special deepfake generator for avoiding some security measures and security processes during interview for HR procedure. And this company faced with 2 attempts to apply North Korean hackers for a job in this AppSec startup. And after some investigations, was discovered a new tool which use it especially for avoiding some security measures in HR interviews and this kind of interviews. It's not girl. Usually, this kind of software made by Chinese hackers group. And they sell it for 9 or 10,000 bucks in Telegram channel, in Darknet, and so on. With many features. Yeah, he shake hands, he touch his face, yeah, for demonstrating that this tool don't contain usual problems for deepfake generators. And this kind of tool was using in some famous attacks and deepfake attacks against some famous people. CEO of Ferrari, CFO in Singapore, CEO of LastPass, it's a cybersecurity company. And the same story was against some officials, for example, Queen Elizabeth, President Putin, President Zelensky, President Trump, Charles King, King of Charles, and so on, in many other cases. And in future, we will see a story with digital twins. And I think in next year, in 2026, we will see first attempts to use digital twins against us, against our relatives, against our bosses, maybe against our friends, and so on, in some cases for jokes, but in most cases for fraud and for some other negative sides. Okay. Another example of last malware which were discovered by our company in internet was Ghost GPT. It's a new chatbot, AI-based chatbot that can help to write malware, write exploits, write phishing emails without human interactions, but with some initial tasks and requests to this chatbot. And after that, this chatbot generates anything what bad actors want. Another example, custom hacker model Nathan AI that based on AI agent architecture, and this software can create malware, write phishing emails, impersonate and generate fake documents, launch campaigns, hackers campaigns, and contain some other functions. And last but not least example, Xanthorax. It's a multi-agent framework, hackers framework, which not only generates malware, find vulnerabilities, automate exploit work, and so on and so on and so on, but also organize complex campaigns, support hackers decision maker, and acts as an orchestrator for fully automated hacking campaigns. And its future for hackers and for bad actors which will use this or maybe this kind of framework for organizing attacks against us, against our organizations, government, countries, industries, and so on. And another example, it was published 2 days ago on Anthropic site about using agents of Claude in first for Anthropic, i.e. orchestrated cyber espionage campaigns. 2 days ago was published the story on Anthropic site. It's a very interesting story when some Chinese groups but anyway, without any proofs. But Anthropic thinks that it's Chinese groups. These groups use legal legal functions of Claude services, legal AI agents of Anthropic for cyber espionage campaign. And finally, I would share with you our research, which made by Positive Technologies about using AI in some attack techniques. And as our researchers invented today and in future, most of MITRE attacks techniques can be covered by AI and made with AI tools, with AI services, with AI software. And it means that we need to do the same, but from cybersecurity perspective. Also, I would like to share with you very interesting idea about hack the box challenges when people fighting with bots, with robots, with AI tools in some hackers activities, in some testing activities and so on. And now some AI teams, AI tools or services demonstrates very interesting results. And as a final idea of this result, many companies, many researchers, many pen test teams create own autonomous pen testers. For example, we in our company create DFACE, PT DFACE, is a next generation breach and attack simulation tool, auto pen tester. Also, one of my colleagues create Pentagi, is a pet project, especially for AI pen tester. And I think you know or you hear about XBAO. It's a company, a US startup who create own autonomous pen tester. And they use own hackers model, a legal hackers model, and own data sets for training of these models. And 1 year ago, this model demonstrates very interesting results, and its results more better than many human pen tester do. And now XBAO has first rate on HackerOne bug bounty platform in the US. Not human, but AI team without any people. It's very interesting result and maybe idea for you, for your projects and for your future to create these tools which can get money for you, of course. How to protect AI? It's third part of my presentation, because after how to break into the systems with AI, we should understand how to protect AI systems with cybersecurity perspective or from cybersecurity perspective. Of course, we can use usual cybersecurity processes and tools, automated responses, user education, secure development, bug bounty, pen testing, and so on and so on and so on. But now I would like to focus on right processes, especially from ML perspective. I mean ML SecOps. ML SecOps translated as a machine learning security operations. And as I mentioned earlier, any ML project contains 3 big parts: data ops, which concentrate on data sets, which we use for training and for using in AI projects. Second part is model ops, model operations, how we will choose, how we will train, and so on. And final part is security operations, how we will secure infrastructure where data sets are stored and where model are computed and trained and so on. And from this perspective, we need to use specific project or specific process which contain from 4 to 6 or 7 parts or elements which describe whole idea about security from ML perspective. First of all, it's some processes about dataset security. When we organize some processes for data preparation, because without choosing right data sets, without securing against data poisoning, we cannot effectively build any AI project from LLM perspective or from some specific industry or local AI perspective. Next part of this circle, model processes, model training, model selections, model deployments, security of the model, because in some cases, model can be target for hackers that want to stall these models, as I demonstrated earlier with SugarHost APT group, or in some other cases. Next step is the software, because data sets and especially models, trained models, put it to software for generating some results on AI works. And from this perspective, we will use some traditional SecDevOps practices, secure by design, secure coding, using SAST and DAST tools for vulnerability searching, and so on. And after that, of course, we will use some policies and monitoring of some violations of these processes on all of these stages for detecting some anomalies, some hacks, some attacks, some incidents in AI projects or in AI infrastructures. For describing of these MLSecOps processes exists some frameworks, and some companies or some countries develop some frameworks. For example, our company, Positive Technologies, developed own framework, and now this framework is using some Russian regulators for government standards and government regulations for all Russian companies. Also, some famous IT companies develop own frameworks. For example, IBM created a framework for securing generative AI. Databricks, as I mentioned earlier, developed own AI security framework. And I think in this year, maybe next year, we will face with many new developments in this area, because many companies and many organizations developed and will develop own framework, especially for different kind of AI and AI SecOps, ML SecOps systems, projects, and so on. For example, especially for our company, for Positive Technologies, we published our MLSecOps framework on specific site, cyberorda.com, where you can see 75 activities in this area and 22 procedures, especially for 4 domains of ML SecOps: data management, ML development, ML deployment, model deployment and model development, and model operations and ML operations. 22 practices and 75 activities which describe our MLSecOps framework. As I mentioned earlier, Databricks has another good example of framework for AI security. They described some threats as PT did it. They described some cybersecurity measures for any threats, for each threat, and they described how to use these cybersecurity measures in different kind of AI, for LLMs, for GPT services, public GPT services, for REC, for local services, and so on. And the same PT did it in our ML SecOps framework. You can see how to Databricks describe it, and we do the same in our framework. Also, from a cybersecurity perspective, we understand that AI can be deployed in different places. It can be deployed, for example, on my local laptop, It can be deployed in our university infrastructure. It can be deployed in cloud, in private cloud or in public cloud. We can use AI through web interface with web browser, for example, ChatGPT, Atlas, or OpenAI Atlas browser, or we can use API, or we can use MCP or A2A servers for communicating with public AI services or with internal AI services. We can use different models of AI using in our ML projects. And of course, each of these model of AI using contain different cybersecurity measures, different cybersecurity controls, and different cybersecurity responsibility between me as a user of AI and provider of AI services, whole services or part of these services. Of course, then more we using a provider of ML services, then more complex will be architecture of our cybersecurity projects for AI. This slide demonstrates AI security shared responsibility model, where different colors of cells describe different responsibility. In some cases, you are responsible for security of AI, of some of parts AI data sets, models, infrastructure, and so on. For some cases, your provider responsible for it. In some cases, you and your provider both responsible for cybersecurity and share responsibility between you. Of course, you should use different cybersecurity measures, user access control, monitoring, logging, compliance, supply chain security, especially for using external data sets, using external models, using external clouds for training of your models, for fine-tuning of your models, and so on, and so on, and so on. And you should draw your whole architecture of your AI projects and put threads from first part of my presentation on this picture. And after that, you can understand where your pain points and where you should implement some security measures for securing of your AI project. Of course, for security, for cybersecurity of AI, in some cases, you should use some commercial tools. But currently, I would say that market of AI security is not good, is not flexible. And in many cases, you have to use some open source libraries from different researchers or companies who share their products on GitHub. And on this slide, you can see some interesting projects, especially for different sides of ML security processes, which you can use for securing using public GPT models, internal LLM services, some other ML models and tools which you can use in your project. And final part of my presentation about how to defend against these threats with specific security tools that can use AI into them. And now we will speak about how to cybersecurity companies use AI into their products. It's a small part of my presentations, but it's maybe a more interesting part. But unfortunately, without diving into specific products, we cannot effectively discuss about some specific ML procedures and processes and some other topics in this area. I will share some insights which we have from our researchers, from our R&D department, which, as I mentioned in start of my presentation, in beginning of my presentation, spends enough time for this topic. First of all, we need to define where to get data sets for training our models. So, and I would say that you don't have enough data in your university for this idea, for this process, because even university with some tens of thousands laptops, virtual machines, some other hosts and so on, unfortunately, this infrastructure doesn't contain enough data for good trainings, unfortunately. And so you need to use some other sources of data sets for your projects. Of course, you can get this information for many years from a university infrastructure. Of course, it's possible, but it's very long processes. Or you can use some other sources, and I can share with you some sources of data sets for different tasks in cybersecurity. For malware detection, for network detection and response, for network traffic analysis, for log analysis, for phishing and spam detection, and so on. And from this perspective, you can see some university and academic data sets for cybersecurity topics. They are most popular in the world. However, I wouldn't say that it's very, very effective. And anyway, you should fine-tune these models based on these data sets. And maybe you can add some your data to these data sets for train your models. These data sets about threat, malware, and behavior detection from VirusTotal, from HoneyNet project. There are very famous projects in the cybersecurity world. These data sets, especially for NLP and text tasks, for phishing detection, for spam detection, for summarization of cybersecurity logs, for APT reports, summarization, and so on, and for generation of some hypotheses and generation of some reports for cybersecurity leaders, top managers, and so on. And final list of data source, especially for simulators and data generators. Of course, you can use some synthetic data for your models, but in this case, a result of these models will not effective because any synthetic data aren't real, and you can faced with some hiding attacks, some hiding incidents than in real generated data sets. For choosing right data sets, you should ask yourself or your provider who prepare for you their data sets for your models 5 questions. What's your task? What is the relevance of this data? Because especially in cybersecurity world, cyber threat landscape is changing very often, and we need to use very often changeable data sets and very relevant data sets for more effective cybersecurity solutions. What are labels? And can be new labels be added to existing data set? Is it sufficient for training a model, this volume of data sets? And what is license? Can it be used commercially or for research only? I think for university reasons, we can use any data sets, but if we will use it in some commercial projects or product, we should use only specific data sets which enable this using in their license. For example, how we use it in our products, one of our products, it's PTVM, PT Vulnerability Manager, which can find some hundreds of thousands vulnerabilities. And we use ML especially for detecting of trending or more actual vulnerabilities in the world for different regions. And we using specific ML crawler, which use some hundreds of sources in different parts of internet and darknet, in legal internet, in some official sites or some GitHub, some X accounts, in some other sources. And after analyzing a bunch of this information from different sources, we can predict what vulnerabilities will be trends in nearest hours. And you can see a result of these products for free on our portal, debugs.ptsecurity.com, where we collected 400 of thousands vulnerabilities from different systems, from private, public, and so on, from cloud. And you can use this portal in your work, for your researches, and so on. It's absolutely free project of positive technology. Next part of one problem with Zoom. Yeah. Yeah. It's not on my side. Yeah. Yes. Yes. We will continue. Next part of describing ML and cybersecurity is the ML, or is the model. And as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, there is no silver bullet in cybersecurity, and there is no silver bullet from models perspective. We don't have. And I think we will not have any in future. one model for any cybersecurity tasks, for any cybersecurity detections, for any cybersecurity threats. For different threats, for different tasks, we should use different models, and we should choose a right model for a right task from different perspectives, from quality perspective, from speed perspective, from security perspective, from some other parameters which we choose when we organizing this process. For example, we have in other products in our portfolio PT CM, Max Patrol CM is a CM, as you understand. And one model, especially for CM, is BAD, Behavior Anomaly Detector, which can help to detect some anomal detection or some anomal behavior of some entities, of some users, of some processes, some programs on secured host servers, laptops, and so on. And for example, only one model in our CM uses 70 different models, ML models, for detecting some anomalies. And after working, as a result of working these models, we calculate final score for any attempts of, or for any behavior, for any attempts which did it some entities or by some entities, some processes, some people, some user, and so on. And it means that we cannot use only one or maybe two, three models for these tasks. For effective detections without false positive or with small amount of false positive, without false negative and so on, we should use different models, some tens of models in one product. If we have some tens of products, for example, we have 25 cybersecurity products, we use some tens, maybe more than 100 different models for detecting, for responding, for searching vulnerabilities, threats, anomalies, and so on and so on and so on. It means that choosing of models is a big part of any ML cybersecurity project. And especially for this part of any ML cybersecurity project, we need specific guys with qualified guys, not only in cybersecurity, but in ML too. It means that we need in any cybersecurity team, not only cybersecurity, but data scientists and ML engineers. And combination of these three kind of people, cybersecurity, data scientists, and ML engineers, can get to us result in cybersecurity. Without one of part of this team, unfortunately, we cannot effectively solve some cybersecurity issues. Main classes of ML algorithms that you can use in your cybersecurity projects. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we don't have only one model or only one class of ML algorithms that we can use. For example, you can see some insights from our site, and we were trying to use different models and different algorithms for different sites and tasks in our products. For our email security gateway, we use, for example, some Bayesian models. For our BAC, for deface, it's a breach and attack simulation tool or autonomous pen tester. We use some reinforcement learning models for anomaly detection. Of course, we use some classification and clustering models for log analysis in our CM. We use some deep learning models but it's not a whole spectrum of ML algorithms. Of course, we have some NLP models for text analysis, for phishing detection, for chat analysis, for email filtering, for incident tickets analyzing, for summarization of incident tickets, for hypothesis generation based on log events in logs and events records, log records, and so on. We need to use new class of models, especially for any tasks based on text analysis, text in different languages, of course. Also, we need to use some reinforcement learning models, especially for cyber battles, cyber ranges task. We have a very interesting cyber battle. We name it standoff, where red team and blue team fights against each other. And we use data sets from this cyber battle for using some techniques and tactics which used by legal hackers and defenders. And after that, we put this information, put these data sets to our models, and these models put to our products for more effectively detection real hackers in real projects and real sites and real infrastructure. For example, our solutions were used for securing World Cup, Olympic Games, president's elections, and so on and so on, in very big, including world famous events. And these solutions based on our ML expertise. Choosing a model lead to some questions. As the same for data sets, we need to ask to myself or to ourselves or to providers of model only 5 questions about architecture, data sets, tasks, support, and of course about license. And last but not least, I would say it's 0 question. What about security of model or about data sets? Because in our practice, we see some threats and some incidents with data sets and with models which were poisoned by hackers and downloaded to some trusted sources of models or data sets. For example, we saw a very interesting incident where one researcher, and the same was made by hackers, took a local model Qwen 2.5 and turned it into BET model. And he downloaded this poisoned model to Hugging Face, is a source of trusted models and data sets in AI world. And after that, this model may insert some commands to launch a malicious script. And it means that you should not only trust your models and data sets which you downloaded from different sites in the internet, you should examine these models and these data sets for some threats, for some malicious scripts, for some malicious codes and malicious data which were put into models and data sets. Of course, you can use different architectures for different tasks in cybersecurity. For SOC assistance, you can use GPT model. For email classifier, you can use BERT. For phishing detection or spam detection, you can use some transformers, for example, BERT or GPTs. For logs analysis, you can use some RNNs and so on. Some example scenarios. of different models for different tasks. And some quick recommendation from our R&D, which made enough researches for AI in cybersecurity. And of course, we can share some more deep recommendations after my lecture. And I will share with you this presentation and our context, and we can share more details and more information about this topic. Of course, some sources for models. For example, first of all, it's Hugging Face, is more famous resource on internet for this topic. And it contains some cybersecurity models. But anyway, you should fine-tune these models for your specific tasks. Another source is paperswithcode.com, source with scientific papers, and most of them include code and model links. And of course, on GitHub also exists enough different models for cybersecurity too. But as I mentioned earlier, you need to check them from cybersecurity perspective. This slide with some other sources of models, especially for cybersecurity reasons. But anyway, experiments are needed because for your infrastructure, your task, your assumptions, your limitations, you need to modify these models, these data sets, especially for your requirements. And in the final of my presentation, I need to share another research from Positive Technologies about using AI against MITRE attack metrics, but from cybersecurity perspective, and how some of domains of MITRE attack can be covered by AI. Final part about GPT using in cybersecurity, because GPT is the most popular AI instrument which we use in our real life, ordinary life. For example, ChatGPT or DeepSeek or Qwen and so on. And of course, we can use it for cybersecurity reason, for different tasks, for forensics, for data loss detection, for threat and APT report summarization, for anomaly classification, for code analysis and vulnerability searching on basic level, of course. And some examples and some real examples. For example, you can see on chatgpt.com, Blackbuster GPT is a result of BlackRock, is an Israeli company who has enough data from dark side, and they put this information to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was trained on this data, and now you can stay on side of ransom negotiator with some APT group, with some ransomware operators, and try to discuss with ransomware operators about decreasing of sum of ransom if you will be a target for ransomware. Another GPT from BlackRock, Cavalier GPT, also on ChatGPT site, it's OSINT GPT service. You put to there some indicators of compromise, username, IP addresses, email addresses, domain names, and so on. And after that, you can get some information from different incidents which were collected by BlackRock is contain this indicator or not. Also, it's very interesting example of geo-synth when you need to attribute where was made some pictures. Earlier, you should use for this task Google Earth and some very extensive from time perspective tasks. And currently, you can use only one GPT, GeoSpy, and this task is fully automated. For example, you have a picture, you put it in GPT, GeoSpy, and after that, after calculation, some attributes of photos, this GPT identify place where this photo was made for some minutes, not more. Another example, attribution of hackers group. And in this case, you can see one cybersecurity company uses different models, different kind of models for only one cybersecurity task for APT group attribution. They use phrase frequencies, syntax, mistakes, styles, clustering of data, analyzing of time zones, and so on and so on and so on. And after that, they can identify some hackers group only analyzing their tactics, their source codes, their messages in chatbots, in dark net forums, or in negotiation with their victims. And some advantages of GenAI using in cybersecurity tasks. I think I don't need to explain what does it mean. In our company, in Positive Technologies, we use GenAI especially for incident investigation, for summarization of some thousand and tens of thousands log records in one incident, and it can expedite incident investigation and forensic processes. Also, we can hypothesis generation. Unfortunately, it will be in Russian, but in this case, we faced with a remote access tool on laptop of one user in our infrastructure, and Copilot assistants generated some hypotheses about root cause of this event, about consequences of this event, and so on. And main idea that if remote access tool was detected on accountant computer, it was bad sign, and it was a sign of incident in many cases. If a red remote access tool was detected on IT administrator laptop, it was not bad sign. It was part of usual activity for any IT administrator to have remote access tool for their work. Also, in future, I think in 2026, we will face more multi-agentic, multi-AI agentic systems in cybersecurity for different topics. As we saw this idea on the dark side of cybersecurity, when hackers use multi-agentic systems for orchestrating their hackers campaign, we will use it especially for cybersecurity processes, for example, for incident investigation, incident management, where each part of this process can be realized by one agent. one agent collect information from tickets, one agent analyze it, one agent enrich this information from different sources, from TI sources and so on. One agent make decision, and one agent, or maybe some agents for different cybersecurity tools respond to this identified incident, or puts in log information about false positive or about low critical, or not critical, low level of incidents from criticality scale. Of course, especially for cybersecurity tasks, we see some challenges, as we see the same for pen testing area. We see the same for security analysis, for security operations area, and last championship, AI SOC championship, was demonstrated that some fully automated SOCs without AI interactions, or without human interactions, can demonstrate very good results what are near to human-based security operation centers. And I think in nearest future, maybe in next year, maybe in 1 or 2 years, we will face with fully automated security solutions without human interactions. And as we analyzed some startups from US, from Russia, from Israel, from China, from different countries, many cybersecurity startups are moving to autopilot and autonomy from cybersecurity perspective, and create some autonomous cybersecurity solutions, because, as you know, we faced with lack of qualified cybersecurity personnel, and in this situation, we need to change some people to AI, to robots who can make some tasks fully automatically. And in final part of my presentation, some AI security certifications. Maybe if you want to be a certified AI cybersecurity guy, you can pass some of these certifications and get certificate from this very famous, in some cases, organizations, SENS, ISEC, IOP, and so on. And now it was final and last slide of my presentation, some additional resources. And as I mentioned earlier, I will share with you my presentation, and you can check all of mentioned from my side references and links. And if you can use it in your work and or in your education, I think my task was realized fully. Thank you. And I want to, and I'm ready to answer.
Awesome.
On
Okay, thank you very much. Give him
you.
applause. Okay, before we start question and answer, I want to ask, is there someone who have class 3 p.m. now? Okay, maybe if you have a class, yeah, you could go to another class. But maybe we will have many people. Just raise a hand. Oh, so many. Okay, maybe if some of you have a class, you could go to your class now. Maybe just no. Okay. After that, maybe I give you some maybe 2 or 3 questions. It's okay for another one? Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe.
and anyway, you can write to me.
Oh, yeah.
So I will ask
Yeah.
on your questions. Maybe you will have your questions after more detailed examination of my presentation.
Oh, yeah. If you have any question, just send an email to Alaski. And I have share Alaski PowerPoint in the class in the Teams, right? Just check it. Okay, now go to question and answer. Just raise a hand if you have answer. Just one, okay? Oh yeah. Question and answer.
Okay. Yeah. Здравствуйте. Привет. Sorry, my Russian is limited to that.
Sorry, my Indonesian.
Okay. My name is Salman from from magistrate degree. So I have a question about AI development in regards to cybersecurity. So some people online, they say that AI will keep growing exponentially. It will learn faster than us humans are able to comprehend it, right? So do you think in the future that the AI used for malicious purposes will be way faster than us humans can keep up, or that we will still have a way to be able to counteract this increasing development of AI?
I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I would say that 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, I didn't think about GPT services. And now I use it in my usual working procedures and my personal life too, without any limitations, without any problems. And AI can give me many new features and opportunities for work. I don't know what will be in next year, because I agree with you that many inventions, many researchers, and many works in AI can open some new features and new sites for different perspective. Some positive perspective and some negative perspective too. And from this side, unfortunately, I couldn't answer on your question, because I would like to think that we will have only positive side of it, but I'm not sure. And of course, I see that bad guys, not only on cybercrime scene, but on government scene too, in military areas and so on. Many of them use AI from maybe negative sides. And from this perspective, we don't know what will be tomorrow, not only next year and so on, unfortunately.
Okay. It's okay? Okay, thank you very much. Another one?
Yes. Okay. So, hi, my name is Edward. My questions is, how would you approach the problem about detecting unknown attacks? Because unknown attacks, it could be something that is not in the data set when it is trained. It could also be a new 0-day. It could also be an APT. And it could also be something that is unknown to our company, but it can be known to other companies. So how would you approach this kind of problem? Thank you.
Thank you.
There exist two kind of unknown attacks. Unknown for you as a defender, and unknown for you as a customer of some cybersecurity solutions. From defender perspective, it's a blind spot, of course, and you can see only some signs of anomalies and abnormal behavior of something. And some years ago, when I started my career in cybersecurity, it was 20 or 30 years ago, we focused on detecting on something famous. We developed some signatures, some rules for CM, for antiviruses, for IDSs, and so on. But now we are focusing on detecting on some unknown, and any anomalies, it's It's a difference from something normal, and our task to define what is normal for some kind of systems. What is normal for server, what is normal for laptop of accountant, what is normal for cloud instance, what is normal for network traffic, and any differences between normal profile of traffic, of behavior, user behavior, process behavior, or software behavior, we will detect as an anomaly. And after that, we will use maybe more deep analysis for defining is it anomaly but normal, or is it anomaly but illegal from hacker side or from IT side, and so on and so on. It's a big issue from R&D side to define sign of anomaly, positive or negative. And it's a big problem. And now nobody can say that they solve this issue. If we solve this issue, we would be a Nobel Prizer, I think. Unfortunately, it's a big problem. But if you see unknown threats from customer perspective, it's not a big problem. You need to use more effective cybersecurity solutions. It's only one solution or decision for solving this issue. Yeah, but from cyber defenders, it's a big issue. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. The third one. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Said Anfaresi, and I have a question about the perspective in defenders area. We know that in the presentation, we found that AI can be used as security shared responsibility model, and how it is work for detecting or maybe doing pen testing for LMS model agent.
LLMs?
Yeah.
For pen tester?
Yes.
First of all, I would say that I need to say about only educational purposes. It's important. Usually, if you use some public GPTs, for example, ChatGPT and so on, it would be very easily because these models trained on some cybersecurity resources, some cybersecurity materials about how to penetrate into systems with some vulnerabilities. And any public GPT services can define, especially for you, procedure how to do it, but without exploiting some vulnerabilities. If you use own model, you need to have big data sets with vulnerabilities and big data sets of tactics, how real people use these vulnerabilities. For example, you need to record some real attacks or some real pen tests. It means that you need to work with pen testers from different teams, from different companies, from different countries, or you need to organize cyber battle where different teams from different countries will be solve your challenges and your tasks, and you need to record their activities, their traffic, and after that you will put these big data sets into model which you use from my lists, and after that this model trained on the data sets from real pen tests can simulate the same fully automatically. And its main idea. And good results you will get if you have big data sets of pen tests. From our perspective, our company exists 20 plus years, and 20 plus years we organize pen tests for different companies, for governments, for private sector, from different industries and so on. We have big expertise from different sides. And we put this expertise to our model, train this model, and after that we create PTD phase. It's an auto pen tester. Without good data sets, unfortunately, you cannot create own auto pen tester. Unfortunately. Maybe fortunately, it depends.
Okay, thank you very much. Now it's 3:15. So unfortunately, we must close this session. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Alexi.
My pleasure.
For very rich, and thank you for participant for your time, your attention, your question, and we hope after you leaving, you leave for this room, you have a new idea from your thesis or yeah, etc. Okay, let's give him applause for the last time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.